Some run for money, others run for fame. I run to find peace, says Marvel actress Lauren Ridloff after finishing her first marathon during the New York City Marathon in 2022. But Ridloff isn't the only one who's dared to take on the challenge. Let's take a look at 5 celebrities who have run marathons. But first, I run for peace, says Marvel actress Lauren Ridloff after finishing her first marathon. Lauren Ridloff has been running since she was a young girl, when her grandfather first introduced her to the sport, continuing on through high school. But while she used to run to look a specific way or feel a certain way, that's no longer the case. These days, Ridloff runs because it's a form of escapism. Now I run to find peace, the actress says, and in November 2022, Ridloff decided to take that peace and run the New York City Marathon for the first time ever, finishing the 26.2 miles in 4 hours, 5 minutes, and 48 seconds. But while running is nothing new for Ridloff, she admitted after finishing the race that the experience was nothing she had ever felt before with the sport. Seeing so many people move in the same direction felt like a unity, everyone pushing themselves through the miles for their own reasons. But as Ridloff approached the end of the race in Central Park, she found herself at war with her own body, and she suddenly just felt like she wanted to be done with it, wanting to puke. But she pushed through, and can now proudly say she finished the 2022 New York City Marathon. Ridloff ended up raising $20,607 for the school food pantry and theater program for PS 347, the American Sign Language, ASL, and English lower school where she used to teach. The cause is extra special for the actress, as she has been deaf since birth. Moving on, let's take a look at 5 other celebrities who've run marathons. First up, we have Ashton Kutcher. In 2022, Ashton Kutcher decided it was high time to run a marathon on behalf of his Thorn nonprofit organization, which he founded in 2012 and combats the sexual abuse of children all over the world. So he put on his running shoes and spent 6 months training for the marathon, documenting his journey along the way. According to Kutcher himself, running a marathon had been a lifelong goal, and the opportunity just came along when Thorn became a marathon charity partner. And, as running a marathon had always been in New York in the mind of Kutcher, it all just lined up perfectly. Kutcher did most of his marathon prep on a Peloton treadmill, as he had also partnered up with Peloton for the challenge of his life. During these training sessions, he also invited over guests, with whom he discussed the question, "What's your why?" Kutcher was joined by the likes of Natalie Portman and Kim Kardashian, but as to his own why, Kutcher says he just keeps thinking of all the children he's seen through the last 10 years that he's been working with Thorn. Knowing that he can give to them, and they can give to him, is pretty motivating for the actor. Kutcher was able to finish the NYC Marathon in 3 hours, 54 minutes, and 1 second. He raised over $1 million, donated by 1,450 people. But will he run another marathon? Absolutely not. Next, Marcus Mumford. In 2021, Marcus Mumford and Ben Lovett from Mumford & Sons competed in the New York City Marathon. It was Mumford's first marathon, and he decided to take on the challenge in order to raise money for children in conflict. Children in Conflict was officially launched in the fall of 2017 through a gig that was put on by War Child UK ambassador Marcus Mumford and his band Mumford & Sons at the New York City's Global Citizens Festival. Mumford has been raising awareness of the massive amounts of trauma that children that get stuck in conflict all over the world have to endure, whenever he can. And how better to honor your goal to do whatever you can to raise awareness than to run an entire marathon? In the end, it took Mumford 3 hours, 53 minutes, and 22 seconds to run the entire 26.2 miles, and his bandmate Lovett finished with 4 hours, 18 minutes, and 29 seconds. Mumford's time is especially very impressive, with a very nice negative split, ending with an overall pace of 8 minutes 54 seconds. But the most important thing about the race, to the bandmates at least, was to raise awareness. Before you go, don't you want to know which other celebrities have made it over the finish line of a marathon? Coming up, we have a Game of Thrones veteran, someone who vowed he never wanted to have bleeding nipples, and someone who does everything from the heart. Can you guess who they are? Make sure to keep watching until the end of the video to find out if you were right. Let's get to it, starting with Natalie Dormer. Natalie Dormer proved that she's just as as she seems when she finished the London Marathon on the day of the premiere of the newest season of Game of Thrones in 2016. It was the second time Dormer had decided to put on her running shoes for a good cause, the British Child Line, which she says has been close to her heart for a long time. The first time she ran a marathon as an ambassador was in 2014, when she crossed the finish line of the London Marathon with 3 hours, 50 minutes, and 57 seconds. When she gave it another go in 2016, Dormer later admitted she'd been a little peeved at her time, coming in at 3 hours, 51 21 minutes and 21 seconds, which means she was 24 seconds slower than she'd been the first time around. But that shouldn't take away from the overall accomplishment. Dormer was one of the 900 people who were raising money for the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children's Childline Service, and she ended up raising about $7,200 for the cause. So, at the end of the day, Dormer didn't really care about the time she'd made, as the main goal of the run had always been to raise money and awareness for this cause that strives to protect children. Following, Ryan Reynolds. The first time Ryan Reynolds was really confronted with people doing a marathon was when he found himself at the finish line of the New York City Marathon, where he witnessed a true feat of human perseverance. It was impressive, but there were also bleeding nipples. And on that day, Reynolds vowed to himself that he would never put himself through such an experience. Sadly, for Reynolds at least, he would find himself breaking that vow only 2 years later. He had met Michael J. Fox, whom Reynolds calls a man that is inspiration exemplified, and offered to do something for him, to complete the New York City Marathon. While instantly regretting the promise, Reynolds is a man of his word, and so he put on his running shoes and found himself training and, eventually, completing the New York City Marathon. Reynolds says that he did it on behalf of his father, Jim Reynolds, who spent the last 15 years of his life battling Parkinson's disease. Reynolds has spoken about how those affected with Parkinson's disease struggle with the same thing he had to fight when training and running a marathon himself. But the big difference for him and someone with Parkinson's is, naturally, that someone training for a marathon is released once the marathon is all said and done. Those fighting Parkinson's have to battle themselves every day. So compared to that, Reynolds wasn't very impressed with his 3 hours, 50 minutes, and 22 seconds. And last but not least, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is known to do everything he does with heart, and when he decided to take a shot at running the New York City Marathon, he did it with so much passion, he even beat former New York Giants running back Tiki Barber. When it was all said and done, Hart posted a video on his Instagram to say, "Marathon complete, got my gold medal. It's an amazing feeling. I can check this goal off my list." According to the comedian, Hart started to cramp up really badly around the 20-mile marker, but promptly decided that he wanted to run more marathons. To Hart, running a marathon was his moonshot. A moonshot is something so high and unbelievable, but you shoot for it anyway. And only those who truly believe in themselves will actually be able to pull it off. But according to Hart, there aren't a lot of people who actually accomplish moonshots, and he wants to be one of those people. And then there was also Hart's charity, Help from the Heart, which covers just about everything. Around the time that Hart ran his marathon, the main focus of Help from the Heart was youth and education, with Hart's desire to step it up a notch and start offering scholarships. Hart was able to reach his $300,000 donation goal within 9 or 10 days, and made it over the finish line in 4 hours and 5 minutes exactly. And that's all we have for now. Have you ever run a marathon, or are you planning on running one? What's your why?
Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and we'll see you in the next one.